Hi, I'm Randy Renner with InsideThunder.com, and we're joined by Mike Kinney from the Norman Transcript, and we're going to kind of wrap things up here for the season. We've heard now from Thunder General Manager Sam Presti. We've heard from all of the players, and Mike, today when we heard from Sam Presti, we heard some interesting things. You know, people talking about some of the hot button issues, his thoughts on Scott Brooks, his thoughts on Kendrick Perkins, his thoughts on the draft, and it just kind of sounds like certainly Scott Brooks isn't going to get fired. Kendrick Perkins isn't going to get amnestied, and the draft picks could be moved if there's nobody there the Thunder likes.
Yeah, I think we didn't hear anything ground-shaking, anything too surprising, but what we did hear was Sam's pretty much his ideology on how he goes about a season, and he doesn't want to make wholesale changes. He just wants to strengthen things. He wants to strengthen the bench. He wants to he said look into managing Kevin's minutes a little bit, but he also doesn't want to meddle too much. And like you said, he said Scott Brooks did an excellent job, and he was happy with what he saw from him. But he also, I think the thing that was pounded in the most is that they won't move Kendrick unless it helps out the team, and so far he hasn't seen any offer or any type of deal that would involve moving Kendrick that would help the Thunder for the next season.
Because, you know, and Presti mentioned this, that we might be having these exit news conferences that we've had this week would have been much earlier had it not been for Kendrick Perkins. And you know, personally, I think he's absolutely right. I don't think the Thunder beat Memphis without Kendrick Perkins.
No, I think for me, I think Kendrick was one of the most consistent players for the Thunder during the postseason. As much razzing as he takes from Thunder fans and critics and people who keep wanting to bring up the amnesty clause and get rid of him, I think he was a solid performer. He played defense against the Grizzlies, played defense against the Clippers, and was strong against the Spurs, but just wasn't able to do enough to slow down Tim Duncan. But what he's been able to do to help in the growth of Steven Adams is almost as great as this attitude he brings in helping the Thunder become a championship type of team. When he had his exit interview, and he was really the only one that spoke the truth about what this team is lacking and what it needs to do to be able to be in the finals next year.
And if of course, we've got that interview. You can hear the audio portion right here on InsideThunder.com with what Kendrick Perkins had to say. And I wrote about this the other day. And Mike, when we listened to Perk the other day say that, you know, he talked about how the Spurs outsmarted the Thunder, how he would like to next season see this team pay much more close attention to detail, cut down on the careless turnovers, and he also urged his teammates to watch the finals, to watch how the Spurs and the Heat do it, because the inference being they don't make stupid mistakes.
I think if you listen to Kendrick's words, he's almost saying, hey, that we still have talent, but that window is closing. We can't be that young team that made it to the finals in 2012, or we would just run up and down the court and trying to outscore people. Now that we're a veteran squad, we have to eliminate these mistakes. When they lost to the Thunder, it wasn't because of lack of talent, it's because the Thunder didn't do the right things at the right time, and San Antonio did, and that's what Miami has done for the last 3 to 4 years. If they want to join that club, then they have to start being smarter about it. And those are harsh words that sometimes, especially young talent, doesn't want to hear. And Kendrick has been the one person who, throughout his time here, has been willing to say it, and say it to their faces, not just to the media.
Moving forward, Randy Renner here with InsideThunder.com. We're talking with Mike Kinney from the Norman Transcript, and Michael's been with this team, covered this team all through the season and last season, and went on the road during the playoffs. So you've been around this bunch for quite a while now, and as you look forward to next season, what are some things that you're thinking this team will do, or maybe they should do?
Well, I think probably the most important thing that they're going to look to this offseason is decide the future of Reggie Jackson. He's now entering that James Harden type of era where you have a year left on the contract. Is he valuable enough to keep here, or is he going to be valuable enough to trade? Sam Presti just said that looking to trade Reggie is not something that they've even thought about, but they said the same thing about James Harden right before they traded him. So you never know what's going to happen. Second thing is probably they have to strengthen that bench. I know both Sam and Scott have downplayed the effectiveness of the bench in the postseason. But when you play a team like San Antonio, you have to have someone who can come in and give a spark. And secondly, they need to improve that three-pointer. They had no one who consistently hit the three-pointer except for Caron Butler, and most of the time Caron Butler was on the bench, as we saw in Game 6 against the Spurs.
And we saw Caron Butler's productivity from beyond the arc tail way off in the playoffs.
Exactly. So they need a consistent player. Someone like a Chandler Parsons would be nice. You don't know if Mike Miller is too old now. He would have been great a couple of years ago, but Sam has to go out and find someone that they can bring in. Probably won't be a starter, but they know consistently, almost in the Ray Allen type that you see for the Heat, that can be there when Kevin and Russell are driving, that they can have faith in, that can hit the three-pointer and just get smarter. Like Kendrick said, this is off season of really self-evaluating. Those contracts that Kevin and Russell signed a few years ago, they're not getting longer, and you don't know what's going to happen in a few years. So that window is shutting, even though they don't want to admit it.
I think it's clear too that the Thunder, and we've seen this happen over the years, that they get better without necessarily adding people, that they're considering that Kevin Durant is still going to get better, that Russell Westbrook is still going to get better, that Serge Ibaka is still going to get better. And I think that certainly will happen, but I also think there's going to be some changes with this roster. The way I look at it, I think Thabo Sefolosha absolutely is gone. I think Caron Butler is gone. I think Hasheem Thabeet is gone. And maybe I think there's also a big question in my mind anyway about Perry Jones.
Exactly. To me, one of the questions I wanted to ask but didn't get a chance to was the development of the young players. We saw Perry playing earlier in the season, but as the season went on, he was nailed to the bench. Didn't get very many minutes at all throughout the entire postseason, and that was a first-round draft pick that you're looking at. So what can you expect from him? What I know they say they're happy with the progress of Jeremy Lamb, but once again, he had an opportunity to grab hold of that starter spot when Thabo was out, and for whatever reason didn't make it happen. You like what you're seeing from Andre Roberson, but it's those three young guys along with Reggie. Reggie's shown that he can be a vital part of this team. The other three who are in their 20, 21-year-old range, they haven't shown that they're mature enough yet to earn those minutes and be counted on when it's really needed.
And of the young guys, clearly the one that has shown he's ready for that is Steven Adams.
Yeah, Steven has been now obviously, besides his great entertainment comedic interview, which is awesome. Him and Scott Brooks really should go on the road together and give great one-liners. But just fact on the floor, he became a force, not just in rebounding, but in scoring and defending. And he will be the heir apparent to the Kendrick Perkins. Don't know when that will be, but as of right now, either it's coming off the bench, and when he's paired with Serge Ibaka in the paint, they are a dynamic duo who not only protect the rim, but can also score. So he has a bright future. It just may not be as a starter just yet. Or if he is as a starter, he still will have Kendrick, looks like, lurking around, still teaching them how to knock people out if needed.
Yep, I think that's absolutely going to happen. Well, the next big thing coming up, of course, for the Thunder, 3 weeks away approximately as we record this, and that's the NBA draft. And then after that, it'll be Summer League about a week following that, where a lot of these young guys that we've been talking about will see extensive action down in Orlando, and then we'll be getting closer and closer to training camp. Overall, Mike, I think a lot of people are disappointed in the way this season ended with the loss to the Spurs. But since that group is still going down there with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker getting a little bit long in the tooth, it still shows you that if this group can stay together, they still have a long and bright future. But as Perk said in his exit interview, they really do, at this point now, have to start playing smarter than what they did at times during the playoffs.
Exactly. If you listen to not only Presti, but Brooks, but all the players, they all said, yes, we were eliminated. We didn't make it to the finals, which was their goal, but it was still a great season, a good season. And you almost wonder if they have to have that Kobe Bryant type of attitude where if you don't win the finals, then it's a horrible season. He said that many times. And when you're young, you don't want to say you're giving away seasons, but you have to value each season as they come because you don't know when you're going to make it back to the finals. The Spurs are a testament to making it back over the long haul. 16 years, been in the finals now 6 times, won it 4. Don't know what's going to happen this year, but do the Thunder have that type of core group that will stay together and make that type of run? If you're Sam Presti, you hope so. If you're a Thunder fan, you hope so. But in this day and age, that's hard to say. So over the offseason, what will they do to improve themselves? Will Kevin Durant work on his low post game? Will Russell Westbrook continue to improve on defense? Will Serge just get healthy? Those are the things that they're going to have to work on as they head into the 2014-2015 season.
All right, Mike Kinney from the Norman Transcript, and of course you can read his stuff there and also online, and follow him at I Am Truth.
I Am Truth on Twitter and also Instagram. I'm a legend in that. So just to let people know.
Some great photos of Mr. Kinney's travels. I'm Randy Renner with InsideThunder.com. We'll keep you updated as we move through the offseason. Mike, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again as we approach draft night.